direct and prosper proceedings to the peace and welfare of the people of Solomon Islands. We ask this in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Parliament resumes.
Presentation of papers and of reports. The following paper has been tabled by the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. The report on the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025, National Parliament Paper number 16 of 2025. Asking and answering of questions.
Thank you. Question number 83 to be asked by the MP for South New Georgia, Rendovan Titipare.
Thank you, Speaker. Question number 83. I'm Stablo Namblomi and MC apprehended fishing vessel at Brenner. Question I have gone on. Minister for Fisheries and Marine Resources. And I'm saying, can the Minister inform Parliament of the specific charges laid against the fishing vessel apprehended in October 2025 at Indispensable Reef, Renal and Bellona Province? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Minister for Fisheries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Thank you, Member for South North New Georgia at the Department for asking this very important question. Mr. Speaker said the captain and the operator of the vessel has been investigated for allegedly breaching license conditions as good under Section 49(2)A of the Solomon Fisheries Management Act 2015, which has stated the specific charges. One, the master captain failed to A, provide an update in English, the daily catch log record in an approved manner, B, keep an updated navigational logbook in English. This updated daily catch log and navigation logbook must be presented when requested by a fisheries officer boarding the vessel. These were not provided to the fisheries officer during the boarding. Two, operator of the vessel has failed to ensure that the vessel did not take on board a fisheries officer observer before departing port on this ground. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. And thank you, Honourable MP for Ismailata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just supplementary question, no more. Charges laid against this fella, captain or those who are inside that vessel, just for lame what charges now the lame law. Captain, Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, MP for Ismailata. So, investigation thoroughly done, and so I have got AG office. AG office, but I'm looked to the thorough investigation report here. Then I'm advised what action to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable MP for
Thank you.
South New Georgia, you have the floor, sir, not New Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We just like to ask a minister whether or not that vessel am licensed or been given approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, MP for North New Georgia for the supplementary question. So the vessel, it's a locally licensed vessel and locally operated by EMS Solomon. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honorable MP for West Harare.
Thank you, Speaker. Supplementary question. Minister, this one case law October, law January, come Kasim September, is there any apprehension case where law record review as well? Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Speaker, maybe can the MPM confirm question? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Supplementary question, Minister. This one, Hemi case law October. January, come Kasim September. Have you recorded any apprehension case as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no more.
Thank you. Sorry, Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank MP for South New Georgia for that question, and also in regards to earlier question asked. The vessel is licensed. The persons inside the Chatham vessels are licensed, so that's why you see the charges where Minister Talamkam is basically on reporting. That failed for reporting in a specific language, which is English, which lawfully me him asking. But that is the charges, which the offence is allegedly breach of license condition for not reporting in a manner required. So I mean, what license but reporting conditions lot and more, it's alleged that what are contravening. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General. Honorable MP for East Malaitan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, just supplementary question more line. So, how long they been licensed and fished in our waters? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Because, I mean, how long now our fish lawyer? So, what no sari report come law English since what a fish, what a license. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, MP for East Malaitan for the question. So, in particular, this vessel here, license, or the license, one year license. Expired 31st of December. This one license for doing live fish, not beach steamer. That investigation found out that some beach steamer found in the boat, and so answer question to and it's a one-year license. Thank you. Annually, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for West Harare.
Thank you, Speaker. Supplementary question, follow-up, no question, law leader of Independent. Lo here case of him no sabe English, him na him failing this requirement for him report. Him license for 1 year. Or get a month before or prior year, him report come how lo language or lo him normal, lo Chinese or him lo English, because here him no sabe English na him no sabe report ya. First time him report how ya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Sorry, Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, MP for West Harare for that question. As we heard, the specific charges to be laid is not provide update in English in an approved manner, and also to update him catch log and navigational logbook lota. So It could be also within child law, that's what conditions say. It's not only in English, but you have to update it regularly. Time of fisheries, ask them question, you answer them properly, you show. If you fail to ask them question and you fail for some records here, that means you breaching license condition. So it's not necessarily that it's made in another language. It could be they fail to update it regularly in that manner. But the license condition has a number of conditions. One is English, update regularly, providing time, time fisheries officer him ask him. So if you do one of the three, it's a breach of that license condition. So as stated, it could be maybe they provided in English, but it's not updated and it's not provided upon request. So that's a breach of that license condition. So but at the moment, the offences are alleged offences. You mean you innocent until proven guilty, as our law have always told them. So that's why we use the term alleged offence. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Attorney General. The Honourable MP for West Harare.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Attorney General, for your clarity. For the supplementary question, Minister, law okat cases law okat licensed fishing vessels, yeah, okat akan mo okat observers beliumi, law okat issues osem how no okat observers okat re-report come back law ministry. Are they sort of performing as they expected, or okat finding difficulty because okat no sa herisave law language law? This for a master law vessel there as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Attorney. So, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, MP, for supplementary question. Mr. Speaker, sir, may contribute for some of the first question we have raised here. The people in the boat they were hired for doing this trip of fishing and so on. Once vessel embraced the Somalians, most employment inside there were the local people now. This was up to the captain level. Yeah. And so reporting him, let me change. No, this was a trip here. This was a trip for answering question before Easter. Change because of the intention there is they're hiding something that they got in the boat. I think that's why maybe answer him should come also. And so reporting him no more. That guy has been hired for this specific trip no more. So a little bit something him no more straight law boat here. The next point, the question I ask him is the observers here. Yes, observers ought not take a motor on board too. This very trip here, no more. According to the report, no more. So there was CPM failed, so time becoming Pansi motor by AG office by him come what action to take or something. So legal report been submitted or some comprehensive report give go AG office for or give come what action, legal action to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Will we give the floor to the Honourable MP for Small Malaita first?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We follow on question normal or explanation, Minister. Solo one Mr. Speaker, and look also captain here, but our intent plan is obvious for breaking law now. Start nationality blow because of China would speak English and write English no more. But I think law explanation law minister obvious that this fellow captain intent for breaking law no more. That one and now me a little bit sorry law him and for the principal question what now by me doing law him na this fellow CP captain company and also. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, MP for Small Malaita for that question. So the process after this now is as soon as what the reports have been finalized, they will be sent to my chambers, and then from there we will provide a legal opinion to him, then you come back to ministry. So that would entail whether there is enough evidence to meet or to satisfy an offense and for me lame or specific charges here. So once that is done, then an opportunity will be given to the master or captain or charterer. It's master, captain, charterer, owner. So there's 4 people that will be given the opportunity to whether for respond law the charges here. So once that is done, there's also a mechanism in the Fisheries and Management Act called summary administration penalties, which vessel not a for persons mentioned have the opportunity of opting to go into summary administrative of those penalties. Now what that means is what about paying fine? So once they accede to that or concur with that process, then there will be discussions between myself, the DPP, and Commissioner of Police in terms of the fines and level of fines based on that breach. And then, putum golo offenders here. Once agree, then Italian come back say yes, we agree. Then by me go by way of that process, summary administrative proceedings, which is by paying fine, not exceeding the amount in the act. But if they don't agree, then it will go to court and charges will be laid, DPP by him running KCL or court, then a criminal conviction is recorded or so. So that's the process from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Attorney General. Honourable MP for Central Honiara.
Thank you, sir. Me a little bit confused a little bit what the information will come here. But I'll ask him, no, Minister, no. What I vessel on this one here, and the license that has been given. And for long line fishing, or pesena, or for the Golo Reef. Because law indispensable reef now, CP out of Holland. In all over the pockets for long line fishing. So can the minister tell him no parliament which type of licensing that you give him no CP? Thank you, sir. You may start off with that one this time.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Speaker, thank you, MP for East Honiara for, Central Honiara for raising the supplementary question. So, vessel name, Huashen 1, HUASHENG number 1. The vessel is a Solomon Island registered and a flagged vessel. The vessel, it is owned and operated by Solomon Islands Fisheries Company Limited. The boat secured 2 licenses from Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. For live fishing, live fish fishing and the fish processing facility. Boat license valid until the 31st of December 2025. The vessel also has a Renault provincial business license as well. Maybe that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable MP for Central Honiara.
So, sir, I think this will be so level by him no remote observer because the way that Minister explained him come here, it is confined for live fish here, lower the reef here no more. It is unlike those that have been licensed for go along with high seas, or the high species tuna fishing grounds. So the fact that him been around Solomon, probably locally registered, and then him fully equipped by locals who am running. Me can make a point where small military and Talim. I think they have been doing this for quite some time. And I think explanation where AG you put him come here, but I am a little bit wrong, a little bit low. So what have you done? There are soft action that the minister can do under the Fisheries Act. You can take those action and then let him order go to court. You know, force him, you never go to court. Let him order, take him go to court. You take action, apprehend him order, fine him order, send him order go to rob this time. Or, you know, say, Baba, you say, send him go to rob, or you find them. That's what the law gave you, you know, that power, you know, to do it. Or the people were doing their one. So, have you taken that action, or you like rely on the AG this time? Why don't we take action to punish him or the money we ought to have been doing this for some time? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before Central Honourable Minister.
Speaker, thank you, MP for Central Honduras. So the actions taken here, actions taken in any ministry, you have for Central Honduras. AG must directly email ministries what action to take. And so, sometimes in the executive power that we have as ministers, sometimes we go wrong about this. So let's get it by law. AG office is there. So that's what exactly we're doing. We've already report here, Settlement AG office. First actions is, so what we did first time, maybe we should tell them that the ship, we will find him ship or give him some kind of a, with him AG office and my officials, 100,000 smaller thing, they can do some business, but then AG back come with them, then we can do more actions after this. But some actions already been taken now. So ship and release go do some business activity. But they're under our watch now, AG office here, but add to that point again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable MP for Central Honduras.
So just follow normal, that little bit small phrase where you tell him some actions have been taken. Can you define him what sort of action now you have taken? Thank you.
Speaker, thank you for something. So him is 100,000 of the money, hold him as a by AG makes them come as a thing they can allow to go. This is the two legal questions dealing with AG office and the officials. No longer as a minister giving this thing, or we just report number. And so that action I'm taking. Also we talk about that 100,000. Thank you.
Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just also in supplementing answer from the Minister. Now, the actions taken were the vessel was apprehended, detained, and preliminary investigations was done. And now you may find them out that one, it's a Somaliland flagged vessel. Two, licensed for live fish. Three, Moha Chataralo there, which is a local charter company too, charter. Four, also Minister Talem, or the employees in Salode, some Chinese, some local. So based on that, investigation ongoing. So now that the vessel is a domestic vessel, Somaliland's flag, and then fish within Somaliland waters, a bond was entered into of 100,000 now where Minister Talem, and vessel was released pending investigation. Once investigation completed, then formal charges will be laid. Now, when that formal charges is laid, that's when there's an election. You elect for doing summary administration of penalties here, or if company less, so that's the process which Bahem going. So at the moment, the vessel has not been formally charged yet because of the finalizing good report yet. Once that is done, then charges will be laid against the either master, charterer, owner, or captain So for Falana, about, or you can charge all of them at once. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General. Honorable MP for East Harare, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Honorable MP for Small Malaita and Central Honiara for allowing me for a little bit ask one question number. I think just to follow up number supplementary in terms of live fishing here, what kind fishing na? Live fish, what kind species na? Or target them here? Lo live fish here, bonito or highly migratory species or some or talamia or the smaller kind fish or reef fish or and how many licenses now for live fishing now you will issue perhaps on an annual basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, MP for East Harare. So, live fish, I think they're allowed for taking the snapper and the scooper. They're allowed for take up live fish and then export them. Thank you. And process.
Thank you. Honorable MP for Small Malaita.
Thank you. I think part longer question below me, Minister, tatalem no, but make noise slow microphone so me no hear good. Live fish here. Maybe kind inside law that thank for you look in here or you export them live or me like sabe. First question below me now. Second one law here. At the time of apprehension, long October. You may have any idea low stocks, low live fish here, and do we have a value for him? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I have a Small Malaita for that question. So the license was meant for him for live fish, meaning what a live exporting live fish. So we tell him to a license one for processing, one for live fish. So I'm meant for export. You talk about, you asked about license below fish and live fish here. So I'm meant for export. Your next question about him report. So that very trip here, but no go for live fish, now him go for bitsima. And so there was no live fish in the boat. Only found the bitsima in the boat. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable MP for North New Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Me like supplementary question for clarification number say. What now you may really do here? Apprehend him or detain him both here and the master? You may apprehend him no more? Or you may detain him or you may use him both? Which one now you may use him? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, MP for Georgia for that question. We apprehended, detained, and after releasing the bond. So I'm just thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable MP for Central Honiara.
Thank you, sir. Dual supplementary number just for clarification of this particular entity. This is Solomon Islands Fisheries Company Limited. Where no factory bloater or the packaging factory bloater, where are they located? I'm not first one. The second one now is that if it is a local company, is it fully owned by local, or is it a joint venture between local and any foreign investor? Because if that is the case, then just that revelation that you, Minister, make him that they are not in this particular trip, or whether no catching no live fish, but beds the money. How serious is that offense then? Or you try to tune him down, no more simply because this was a local party, no, by you try to give him some kind of a sympathy local. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again, Central Honora, MP Central Honora for the question. So the local company actually is owned by one fellow local mantrona, Eric Saweha. I'm not honorable company, and I think they have an office in Renandi. What they do is the packaging or seminar, so around the current factory, where they do processing and then and exporting low life and processing money. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for East Arare.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In terms of the license for live fishing, yeah, maybe Minister can inform the House how many of these licenses may say issue annually for this kind of type of fishing. And interesting normal technology behind it in terms of packaging a live fish. Also, yeah, that fala technology part inside the factory. Interesting to us, yeah, for how now you packaging live fish for sending. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
So Speaker, thank you again, MP for East Arare. So how many licenses? The 2 licenses. 2 licenses only started this year. So only 2 licenses. One fella this one year, one fella yes, Blumina separated Nemblo another license here, but yeah, only 2 licenses. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for Small Malaita.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Exporting live fish where you package them here, and a little bit sound. I'm good for innovation. Yeah? I don't know how you package fish and then continue to be living time you export them. But the question below me, this for Nara Sunny way actually I'm going to do a lot of time apprehension here. Minister, I'm telling that I'm not go fishing for live fish here. I'm go look at them and what here, bed steamer. So me like him from Minister, I'm tell him long house that fishing for bed steamer, I'm inside law license where Minister, I'm giving for this whole fishing company. That company, him go for bed steamer, that is also included in that license. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. MP for Small Malaita. So maybe Small Malaita had good conference there. Shibe him only license for live fish and processing. So any activity that is involved with this about here, him meaning that him illegal. Him no more. If you read between the lines of what Italian fish, him not what traffic explain come. Him it's not. I mean him no more license money allowed. So him what take he's not allowed. And it could be some people that hide the boat, or did the thing where him not in where the ship is supposed to be doing it. So I have no way maybe Mr. him come up here. So that is in the report. So in alarm reported for go AG office limit come with the reactions by legal reactions. I'm taking then maybe by me we should have what not actions by me take him after AG him telecom office also. In regards to the packaging, so Istarara asked Istarara asked him to the packaging you also so packaging him entirely with him company. Company do you say package him not easy something you must get a fish live broadcasting web by him and go so responsible with them or other companies for dealing with them and no longer in level of ministry. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have enough supplementary questions on it unless there are anything new to what has been raised by members of parliament to the minister. Honourable, otherwise I'll have to.
Thank you, Speaker. Hemi supplementary question. By you, Herem Kona, by you just determine whether I'm in line or no more look at the questions and Coco finish. Minister, this one hemi illegal fishing na by me very interest lo how many CQ company or get a find him and by ministry him take me. But my supplementary question, Mr. Speaker, Hemosen, IEU, that's illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing activities law 200 is at Brimtola. How now ministry him koko wait him this one if you could get to inform the house because this one him bar a big problem solve what the Brimtola and now that one for normal here but him license how many out there that okay to fall under IEU that ministry him record him if you could inform the house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, MP for East Area. So maybe MP, me and Kaji can give one separate question so that you can answer properly this question. Because him vary. I can explain by him no with the question that is raised today. They send him locally raised within Nomai, within the area of Limino. Can you frame another question to the Parliament so that you answer properly? That email the Parliament so people are listening as well. So maybe put another question come here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I think that's important. Honourable MP for Western Georgia, and I'll give the chance for his acknowledge and say thank you to the motions that questions have been raised. Thank you for your understanding, Honourable MP for Central Honiara. I've made my decision. Thank you. Take your seat, Honourable MP for Western Georgia.
I'm making a question to the very principal question that has been.
I'm not taking any more questions. I already made a ruling. Thank you.
But you are unnecessarily tied.
You can't raise another question. Raise it if it's a new question or supplementary. Raise it.
It's very much
I will. I have made my order final. Thank you.
You didn't sleep well last night, yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honourable MP for Western Georgia.
Thank you, Speaker. May I acknowledge and thank the Minister for Fisheries and Marine Resources for his effort to respond to questions from me. And then also I thank the Attorney General for enlightening House for some of the supplementary questions. I also thank the contributors for the supplementary questions raised on this matter. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Let us now move on to our next item of business.
Statement of government business for the week ending Friday, 5th December 2025.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Statement of government business for the week ending Friday, 5th December 2025. Monday, 1st December 2025, bills, second reading, the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025, debate commences and continues. Motion of adjournment. Tuesday, 2nd December 2025, bills, second reading, the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025, debate resumes and continues. Motion of adjournment. Wednesday, 3rd December 2025, bills, second reading, the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025, debate continues and concludes. Motion of adjournment. Thursday, 4th, 2025, Bills Committee of Supply, the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025, Committee of Supply commences and continues. Motion of adjournment. Friday, 5th December 2025, Bills Committee of Supply, the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025, Committee of Supply commences and continues. Motion for adjournment.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. Let's now move to our next item of business.
Bills, second reading, the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025.
Honourable members, debate on the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025 commences today, and according to paragraph 2 of Standing Order 61, 3 days are allotted for the second reading of the Appropriation Bill. This means that by Wednesday, 3rd December, the House should wrap up the debate and the Committee of Supply to commence its consideration on Thursday, 4th of December. Again, the House is reminded that the second reading debate on the appropriation bill must be confined to the financial and economic state of Solomon Islands and the general principles of government policy and administration as indicated by the bill and the estimates. Briefs on the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025 can be accessed in the library to aid members in the debate. The floor is now open for debate, and I think there was a request, I think, made for the MP for West New Georgia. Not New Georgia. I think he was requested by the leader of opposition who was not able to be present with us today, and he's designated the MP for North New Georgia to take the floor and speak up, the first one to contribute to the debate. You're welcome, sir.
Tatawola Koleo, and good morning, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to the 26 Appropriation Bill 2025, presented by the Honourable Minister for Finance and Treasury. A second GNAT budget in a space of 18 months. I acknowledge the significant work by the Ministry of Finance and Treasury and all ministerial, technical and administrative teams in crafting this budget, especially given the many economic challenges we face today. I also give credit to the Chairman and members of the Public Accounts Committee for the work in scrutinizing the bill and for the report now presented. This is an important report that contains some important and critical analysis and recommendations to help us manage our resources and grow our economy. The support given by the Auditor General and his office and the Committee Secretariat of the National Parliament is highly commendable. Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Finance and Treasury speech provides an important outline of the government's priorities and fiscal directions for national development. At the heart of this budget is a bold and timely theme: accelerating accountable and transformative investments, a pathway towards a resilient and sustainable economy. This theme captures the spirit of what is required: not only growth, but growth that is transformative, accountable, and resilient. Mr. Speaker, this is not just another annual budget. It is a roadmap for transformation. The government's vision is ambitious, and rightly so. Our country needs more than incremental change, but ambition must be matched by rigor, transparency, and accountability. While the intent of the budget, as in the Minister's speech, is commendable, there are concerns regarding implementation capacity. We note a misalignment between policy priorities and budget allocations.
There is credible data, especially from the International Monetary Fund, that suggests that there is a serious mismatch between policy priorities and resource allocation. Mr. Speaker, if not corrected, this leads to poor planning and implementation. The Minister sets out his vision in bold terms. He talked about anchoring financial stability, rationalizing the tax system, reforming the mining sector, creating a sovereign wealth fund, strengthening ports and customs control, and using this budget as a bridge to our 50th independence anniversary. He assured the House that this is a responsible, disciplined, transformative budget that will deliver quick results for our people. Mr. Speaker, the intention articulated in the budget speech are commendable. However, it is equally important to examine the alignment between stated priorities, actual allocations, and implementation capacity. A good budget must not only state policies, it must ensure credible financing, realistic revenue projections, and effective delivery on the ground. Mr. Speaker, as with the 2025 budget, my task this morning is simple. I will take the government at its words, then measure these claims against the numbers in the book and the realities ordinary Solomon face every day. There was a wide gap last year. There was a wide gap between government's ambitions and the reality of its allocations and priorities. Say this year, that gap has not closed. In some areas, it has widened. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the budget is bigger. Yes, there are new initiatives. Yes, there are some positive shifts that must be acknowledged. But size is not the same thing as transformation. If the structure of the economy does not change, if poverty deepens, if the cost of living remains unbearable, if basic services remains unreliable, then we are still in the same territory, only with more zeros at the end. Mr. Speaker, let me turn to a few key themes: the economic story and the physical stance, the cost of living and food security, energy and fuel, connectivity and housing, the treatment of labor mobility, the reliance on mining and donors, and then some specific comments on education, health, and the productive sector. Mr. Speaker, last year the government told this House a very confident story. Real GDP was forecasted at 3.8% in 2025, 4.3% in 2026, 4% in 2027, all above the pre-COVID average of 2.5%. That was the basis on which they called basically transformative budget. This year, Mr. Speaker, the tone has shifted, but very significantly. The government revised the 2025 growth down to 2.6% and projects only 2.7% for 2026. This is blamed on the contraction in logging, weaker construction, and electricity, and even slightly negative fishing. Mr. Speaker, in just 1 year, we moved from a promise of 4.3% growth in 2026 to a forecast of 2.7%. That is not acceleration. That is a downgrade. It tells us that last year's optimism was not grounded in reality and that the underlying weaknesses in our economy have not been addressed. The government now pins its hope on a mining boom. The minister tells us that the mining sector will grow strongly, that Gold Ridge will finally move into full production and its tax exemption will lapse, and that this will drive revenue for years to come. That may happen, Mr. Speaker, and we all hope it does. But to base the entire growth story and revenue strategy on one or two mines in a volatile global environment is a very risky bet. If the mine floods, if the processing plant has a major breakdown, if world gold prices fall, if there are disputes among community benefits, what then, Mr. Speaker? Where is Plan B for our people and country? Mr. Speaker, last year the government assured us that inflation would ease. They projected average inflation of about 2% and said it would return to a 2.5 to 3% target range in the medium term. That was the story. Now in this appropriation bill, Mr. Speaker, the projected headline inflation in 2026 is at between 3.5 and 4%. It tells us that core inflation will be between 2 and 3%. This may sound technical, but for ordinary families, it simply means prices are still rising faster than their incomes. Life will be still harder next year than it is today. Mr. Speaker, for our people, these numbers are not theory. They see it in the price of a 10-kilogram bag of rice. They see it in the cost of a liter of fuel and a return trip on an outboard motor. They see it when $100 only buys 2 or 3 basic items. Many urban families now struggle to afford even one proper meal a day. In the villages, more and more of our people need cash to survive, but there are very few ways to earn that cash. The question then is, does this budget respond to the pain? Does it have a clear strategy to lower the cost of living and to tackle poverty? Mr. Speaker, sadly, the answer is still no. There is no anti-poverty strategy in this budget. There is no set of concrete measures that directly targets the daily expenses of low-income households. There is no timetable to lift families out of hand-to-mouth existence. We still talk about resilience, while more and more of our people sink into this deeper insecurity. Mr. Speaker, our people face a cruel paradox, as affordable food is mostly imported and nutritionally poor. Healthy local food is often too expensive for the very people who grow it. We all know the story, Mr. Speaker. Instant noodles and tinned meat are cheaper and easy. Local fish, vegetables, cassava, taro, banana, fruits are expensive. So we feed our children food that fills the stomach, but slowly poisons the body. Non-communicable diseases remain stubbornly high in our population. In both the 2025 and 2026 budget, government talks about commercial agriculture, about coconut rehabilitation, about export value chains. All these are important, Mr. Speaker. But again, there are no serious targeted programs to make healthy local food more affordable in Honiara, Auki, Gizo, and other rural training centers and provincial centers. Where is the plan to fix the farm-to-market chain? Where is the investment in feeder roads, rural storage, small cold rooms, and market facilities that bring down the cost of local produce? Where are the targets to reduce the price gap between imported junk food and local nutritious food? Mr. Speaker, we saw last year there was a small food security allocation that mostly focused on cattle and piggery. This year, the main story in agriculture remains around cocoa, coconut plantations, and exports. Protein and export matters, but food security is about the daily diet of our children and families. Investments in the cattle industry was huge, Mr. Speaker. Where are the cattle now? How much return does that investment bring into the country? We have very little funds for investments, so such funds must be used wisely. More of the same investments like in the past, poorly designed and managed, will surely bring negative outcomes and waste of public resources. For it is written, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If government's heart is really in food security and nutrition, we should see it clearly in the size and focus of the allocation. This is not the case. We still do not. Mr. Speaker, one of the few new positive measures in the 2026 budget is the commitment by Solomon Power to cut electricity tariffs by 25% over 3 years, with an 8.3% reduction each year from 1st January 2025. This is good news. For our electricity tariffs are among the highest in the world. Every small business owner, every canteen, every family that buys power knows this. So any genuine reduction is welcome. However, there are questions that remain unanswered. First, how exactly will this cut be delivered and monitored? What protections are there to ensure that the full 25% reduction is actually passed on to the consumers and not eaten up by few fees and charges? Second, how will this reduction reach rural communities where grid electricity does not exist? For the majority of our people, the main energy cost is still fuel for the outboard, kerosene, small generators, and solar kits. Mr. Speaker, this budget contains no strategy to shield our people from global fuel price shocks. We have gone through many cycles of high fuel prices. We have seen the impact of the Russian-Ukraine war on fuel and freight. Yet, there is no fuel price stabilization mechanism, no strategic fuel reserve, no clear approach to help our people ride out the next wave of our higher costs. If we are serious about the cost of living, we must attack the price of fuel and energy in a serious way, not just hope that the world comes down. At the same time, the China Hydro project remains extremely expensive for a 15-megawatt plant. Even with the promised reduction in tariffs when China comes online, electricity in Solomon Islands will still be among the most costly in the region. It does not change anything. That is the price of poor negotiation and weak protection of the public interest. This must never be repeated. Our children and grandchildren will pay for those decisions for decades to come. Mr. Speaker, in a country of shattered islands, transport is not a luxury. It is the lifeline of the economy and daily life. The 2026 budget increases infrastructure allocations, and that is good in principle. It continues funding for roads, wharves, and maritime infrastructure. The minister also wants to use ICSI logistics to operate a new shipping vessel to support rural freight and movement of goods. These are creative, positive ideas, Mr. Speaker. If only and truly they lower the cost and complement rather than crowd out existing private operators. But again, there are no clear indicators. We do not know how many kilometers of roads will actually be sealed or maintained to the basic standard with the given investment in this budget. We do not know how many wharves will be finished and in which communities. We do not know how much more freight or passenger fares are expected to reduce as a result of these public investments. On communication, Mr. Speaker, the minister speaks proudly of new towers and growing demand for digital services. Yet internet coverage remains low. The tariffs are still very high for ordinary people. We invested heavily in an undersea cable. The promise was fast and cheap internet. The reality is that for many families, data remains a luxury, not a basic tool of education and opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the housing crisis in Honiara and other urban centers has become a silent emergency. Our young professionals, nurses, teachers, police officers, public servants, and small business owners are being priced out of decent accommodation. Land prices have gone through the roof. Banks are increasingly unwilling to lend to first home buyers. Many of our people end up in informal settlements, paying rent for very poor conditions with no security of tenure. Again this year, there is no serious program in the budget to address this. Customer land recording continues to receive small allocation. That is necessary work, but it is not a housing policy. There is no affordable housing scheme. There is no urban land reform. There is no subsidy or support framework for first home buyers. There is no plan to ensure that indigenous Solomon Islanders are not temporarily pushed out of prime urban residential and commercial land by foreign capital. Mr. Speaker, this is not a problem we can leave the market while we watch from the side. It is a structural issue that demands a serious policy response. The 2026 budget continues to ignore it. Mr. Speaker, labor mobility has become a major pillar of livelihoods and foreign exchange in our region. Thousands of our people are working in Australia and New Zealand, sending remittances home, helping families, paying school fees, and supporting small businesses. Yet, in the 2026 budget speech, the Minister for Finance is silent on this area. There are no numbers, no strategy, no budget support for training, pre-departure preparation, financial literacy, or reintegration of workers when they return. There is no plan to negotiate lower remittance costs or better conditions on accommodation and travel. This is a serious omission. Labor mobility is not just a foreign affairs issue. It is a core part of our economic and social strategy. It deserves proper treatment in the national budget. If we give less attention to this important scheme, Mr. Speaker, this scheme, I'm afraid, may end up as a modern slavery. Mr. Speaker, let me continue to the heart of the budget. In 2025, total revenue was projected at about 3.878 billion, including only 9.59 million in budget support. Recurrent expenditure was 4.099 billion. The total deficit was about 1.274 billion, with 870 million of financing already secured and a 404.4 million gap that I said would likely remain unfunded. In 2026, total revenue is now projected to jump to 5,473.2 billion. Of this, 4,502.3 million is domestic revenue, while the rest comes as budget support. Recurrent expenditure stands at 4,406.3 million. The Minister tells us that he has engineered a recurrent surplus of 96 million compared to a recurrent deficit of 144.7 million this year. Mr. Speaker, on paper, this looks like a big achievement. But let us look carefully at how it is achieved. First, budget support from donors has exploded from under 100 million to almost 1 billion. Non-appropriated donor funding outside the budget has increased from 1.104 billion to 1.6 billion. Mr. Speaker, the picture is simple. There is greater self-reliance. So the picture of greater self-reliance that the Minister paints on the budget is not accurate. In reality, we have become more dependent on external partners to fund our services and investments. Second, domestic revenue is expected to increase sharply, especially from inland revenue and customs. Inland Revenue Division collections are projected to rise by 14% over the 2025 revised estimates and by 25% over 2024 actuals. Customs proceeds are expected to increase by 11% over 2025 and by 17% over 2024. Mr. Speaker, these increases are driven mainly by optimistic assumptions about mining, especially gold rates. If those assumptions do not materialize fully, the fiscal strategy comes under pressure. The current surplus has been created by cutting other charges by around 12% and heavily increasing payroll, including a one-off 125 million settlement for teachers and additional salary provisions for nurses and technical staff. So we are paying more wages, we are cutting operational budgets, and we are relying heavily on mining and donors. At the same time, debt is rising. Debt stock is already around 4.2 billion by October 2025, about 30% higher than the previous year. The government plans to borrow up to 1 billion more in 2026, including 300 million domestically and 700 million externally. Yes, debt to GDP remains below the 35% benchmark, but the trend is clear. Repeated deficits, rising borrowings, and deep donor dependence do not sit comfortably with the narrative of fiscal stability. Mr. Speaker, we must be honest. We have lived beyond our means for many years. We have run deficits almost every year since 2016. We have used donor support funds and loans to mask the true scale of our fiscal problems. This budget does not fundamentally change the pattern. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance was right to say that the mineral sector offers big opportunities. He is also right to commit to EITI and to promise the establishment of a mineral resource lab to verify content and pricing. These are long overdue steps. He has also talked about the intention to establish a sovereign wealth fund so that revenue from non-renewable resources can benefit future generations. In principle, that is a good idea and one that we on this side of the House long advocated. But we must ask some hard questions, Mr. Speaker. Where is the legislation for this sovereign wealth fund? What governance framework will protect it from political interference? What are the savings and spending rules? How will local landowners and host communities benefit? How will we ensure that the mistakes of the forestry sector are not repeated in the mining sector? Mr. Speaker, at the moment we see big promises. We see very little detail. We also see continuing examples of poor governance in existing mining operations, including weak enforcement, unresolved community grievances, and questions about valuation of exports. Without strong institutions, it is better to leave minerals in the ground than to dig them up only to benefit a few and leave the environment and communities worse off. Mr. Speaker, tourism is again highlighted as a key growth sector. The allocation of 46.4 million, which was a big jump in 2025, is maintained in 2026 and better broken down across programs. That is positive continuity. What we need to be informed, Mr. Speaker, is what had happened to the allocation of 2025. I hope the Minister will inform the House when she contributed to the motion before the House. What is still missing are clear targets, Mr. Speaker. How many tourists do we want to attract in the next 3 years? How many jobs do we expect to create? How much in foreign exchange? Which provinces and communities are the beneficiaries? Without these answers, we remain stuck with small numbers, while our neighbors in the region attract hundreds and thousands of visitors. In agriculture and commerce, there is a clear scaling up around SEMA, DBSI, and ICSI logistics as vehicles to fix markets, finance, and logistics for farmers and producers. This is an attempt at a more integrated approach, and we all need to support this. But again, where are the measurable outcomes? How many farmers will be reached? By how much will rural incomes rise? What tonnage of cocoa, copra, cassava, and other products will be exported as the result of these investments? On forestry, we continue to see the long-term consequences of over-reliance on round log export without replanting. Allocations for downstream processing and reforestation remain modest. We still do not have a 20-year plan to restore our forest base and sustain a decent level of revenue and rural jobs. In education, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance tells us that almost 30% of the national budget now goes to education, the highest share in our region. Capital investment in SINU and school infrastructure increased further, and the one-off settlement for teachers is an important acknowledgement of long-standing grievances. These are positive developments, Mr. Speaker, and I wish to acknowledge the government to come up with these solutions. We welcome them, but we must ask questions. Where are the results? What is happening to literacy and numeracy rates? How many of our children complete each subsectors of education in higher learning and in vocational and trade courses? Another important government policy that ought to be addressed is the policy of second chance education. This has been talked about by previous governments and the current government, and it is an important piece of policy. The Flexible and Distance Learning Center at SINU is the available space for such important policy. In this regard, I urge the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education and the government, if the grant to SINU can be increased and the Flexible and Distant Learning Center be provided much financial and other resources and support to lead and implement not only the second chance education policy, but other education policy initiatives as well. In health, as I said last year, I commend the Minister for Health for his energy and creativity, a very hardworking minister. The new digital health strategy, expanded investment in primary and secondary health facilities, and support for the National Laboratory and ARWAS are steps in the right direction. But we must ask questions, Mr. Speaker. We still see shortage of drugs and consumables. We still see people dying from preventable conditions. We still see nurses reusing gloves because supplies have run out. This is the result of years of neglect, not just in one team. And I'm calling on the good minister, hardworking minister, to address these issues. So while I support the direction the Minister of Health is taking, we must ensure that the Minister of Finance back the Minister of Health's plan. No let him plan no man, no give him slain loem. Give him slain loem. Those funding must be consistent. And procurement and cash flow bottlenecks do not undermine what the minister and his ministry attempts to do in the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. Mr. Speaker, the government presents the 2026 budget as a disciplined, forward-looking, transformative instrument that will carry us towards the 50th independence anniversary with confidence. The rhetoric is attractive. On paper, some of the numbers look impressive. There are areas where we can acknowledge progress, especially in parts of education, health, fisheries, and efforts to clean up aspects of mining governance. However, when we look beneath the surface, we still see that many of the underlying problems remain untouched. Growth projections have been downgraded. Inflation is higher than the government previously promised. The cost of living remains unbearable for many families. There is no anti-poverty strategy. Food security and nutrition are still treated as side effects of export agriculture instead of central goals. Electricity and fuel remains expensive and vulnerable to global shocks. Housing and urban land issues are ignored. Labor mobility is invisible in this budget. Fiscal policy has not truly turned a corner. We rely more than ever on donors and on a hope for mining boom to balance the books. Debt keeps rising. Other charges are squeezed, but there is no clear plan to improve the quality of spending. The proposed sovereign wealth fund remains a concept, not a concrete safeguard for future generations. So, Mr. Speaker, the question before us is not whether this budget is larger or whether it contains some good initiatives. It does. The real question is whether this budget will change the daily reality of ordinary Solomon Islanders in a meaningful way. Will it lower the cost of living? Will it create decent jobs? Will it improve the quality of health and medical services? Will it strengthen governance and protect our natural resources? Will it treat our people fairly in land, housing, and development? On those tests, this budget still falls short. Mr. Speaker, our people deserve better. They deserve a government that does not only speak about transformation, but actually changes the way resources are raised, allocated, and used. A government that closes the gap between ambition and execution. A government that treats poverty, equality, and exclusion as urgent national emergencies. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I resume my seat.
Thank you, Honourable MP, for question of Georgia. You will me give the floor first to the Honourable MP for East Choiseul.
I thank the Minister of Planning for giving me the floor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me floor to contribute to the motion moved by the Minister of Finance and Treasury, and I share a lot of things that the member for North Georgia Parliament. The motion before the House, Mr. Speaker, is that the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2025 be now read the second time, and I join the member for North Georgia to acknowledge the nerve-wracking work that the chairman and members of the Public Accounts Committee have undertaken to scrutinize the budget. And I tell you, Mr. Speaker, it's not an easy task trying to make sense of what the government is presenting before the House in terms of linking government's policy intentions and the budget, and we hear a lot of the sentiment from the member of North Georgia, Mr. Speaker. Now, for that, we thank the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. But Mr. Speaker, I will endeavor to confine myself to the requirement of Standing Order 61-2 to confine my intervention to the financial and economic state of Solomon Islands and general principles of government policy and administration as dictated by the bill and as estimates, end of quote. In other words, at the macro level, Mr. Speaker. So, the budget is presented through a very, very eye-catching title, Accelerating Economic Transformation, and there is a column, Resourcing the Resourced to Drive Economic Growth and Sustainable Development. Mr. Speaker. The Minister also presented a very comprehensive contextual environment for global and national economic situation to justify the estimated revenue and expenditure. So if you note, the two phrases in the theme, and as I said earlier on, are divided by a colon. All of us know, Mr. Speaker, that the colon's purpose is to introduce, among other things, an explanation after an independent clause, Mr. Speaker. In this case, so what the government is endeavoring to achieve through the 2026 budget is to accelerate economic transformation. That's the core statement, Mr. Speaker. That's the core statement, the primary objective of the 2026 budget. In fact, the Minister took the pain to inform the House through a 2.5-hour speech what the government meant by the independent clause, accelerating economic transformation, or more specifically, Mr. Speaker, to achieve acceleration of economic transformation. The speech, Mr. Speaker, and as I shared some of the views expressed by the member for North Georgia, we struggle with to follow, trying for linking all of budget, Mr. Speaker. But gathering from the eye-catching theme, Mr. Speaker, we can pretty much know what the government is trying to is saying, Mr. Speaker. Firstly, it is the government's desire through the 2026 budget to drive economic growth and sustainable development. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, the government planned to do so by resourcing the resourced. That is a serious redirection, Mr. Speaker, a very, very serious redirection. So the government is actually, I think we really need to read the mind of the government in this case, Mr. Speaker. This is what it's trying to do. It wants to drive economic growth and sustainable development, and it planned to do so by resourcing the resourced. I hope, sir, the government bench fully appreciates what it meant and what it needs to do to achieve this exciting objective, policy objective, Mr. Speaker. And any economist, Mr. Speaker, will tell you. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, there are no shortages of them in the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of Solomon Islands. So that accelerating economic transformation, Mr. Speaker, involves a serious set of actions, Mr. Speaker. Serious set of actions. It is a doing phrase. It is a doing phrase. It involves taking painful structural adjustments and economic decisions, as we heard from the member for North Georgia in his appeal, Mr. Speaker. Sir, to be honest, Mr. Speaker, I'm struggling to see the prospect of any tangible, measurable long-term processes established under the budget, and what we mean by resourcing the resourced, Mr. Speaker. More specifically, what portion of the $5.6 billion dollars of the appropriated budget is resourcing the resourced, Mr. Speaker, because that's the thinking of the government, sir. And I note an allocation of $18 million assistance to DBSI and a $21 million support to SEMA, and the continuation of various guarantee schemes and the grant assistance to artisanal farmers in the rural areas in a number of productive sector ministries. The member for North Georgia noted the establishment of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, the Tower Project, the digital health strategy, and we can go on and list some of these what we can call transformational project, Mr. Speaker. But it is clear that, and if we try to read what the government is trying to talk about here, Mr. Speaker, it is clear that the government is still entertaining direct grants to small players in the market, Mr. Speaker. And if you see that in various grants that are established in the various line ministries, Mr. Speaker. And this is what we can describe as dribs and drabs approach to a major policy redirection, Mr. Speaker. This is a major policy redirection. And we are still entertaining this grant approach to achieve this major policy intention, Mr. Speaker. And whether that is transformational is a question that needs to be asked. Now, so while that is a strategy, Mr. Speaker, it has limited coverage because we are resourcing small players, Mr. Speaker. The argument I'm putting forward is we can do more if we are serious about accelerating economic transformation. And in addition to small players, we should be actively engaging with big players, Mr. Speaker. Big players who can afford, even borrow up to $5 million, $2 million, $3 million. We can afford to do that, Mr. Speaker, if a strategy is to use the Development Bank of Solomon Islands. Sir. And I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker, because accelerating economic transformation is a long-term process, Mr. Speaker. It's a long-term process of shifting labor and resources from lower to higher productivity activities, resulting in more diversified and complex economy. And we will address some of the hiccups that the member for Northeast Georgia is talking about. He is having improved now with the budget allocations below the ministries. If we open him up, Mr. Speaker, and have some breathing space. Right now we are constricting ourselves. Sir, in our case, Mr. Speaker, more specifically, and in the absence of any explanation, I would like to believe, Mr. Speaker, that what the government is saying is to improve the country's productivity at the rural level of the value chain, and this is the Minister of Planning's favorite term, Mr. Speaker, to improve the productivity at the rural level of the value chain. And this is sound policy indeed, Mr. Speaker, which, Mr. Speaker, if achieved, we should see our country established on sound footing to face the challenges of tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, because for years, Mr. Speaker, we suffer from business as usual, and this is a term that is overused in this parliament, Mr. Speaker, and the way we were syndrome, Mr. Speaker, the way we were syndrome. In our effort to progress our country, Mr. Speaker, we are just probably going round and round the vicious cycle, and at last, the government is saying something radical, Mr. Speaker. And this shift, Mr. Speaker, can occur both between and within sectors, such as from agriculture to manufacturing, or from subsistence farming to higher level crops, value crops, or moving the emphasis of the budget from non-essential services to the productive and essential services sectors, Mr. Speaker. Even if it means, Mr. Speaker, amalgamating or abolishing cost centers, Mr. Speaker. Only to side normal budget, Mr. Speaker, revenue and expenditure. If you cannot pull on revenue, remove some cost centers. Remove them, Mr. Speaker. This is tough decision. Once we do that, then we are being transformational. So it's no more, it is business as usual, Mr. Speaker. And, sir, I'm actually struggling. There is no evidence of any serious shift, Mr. Speaker, because every ministry is recording increases, Mr. Speaker. Every minute. There is no one want to give way now, Mr. Speaker. Me want them, everybody want them now, Mr. Speaker. So the key indicators would include, in the long term, increase in productivity at the rural level of the value chain, advancement in technology, increased and production efficiency, a change in labor dynamics, and the development of new sectors and capabilities, Mr. Speaker. And we acknowledge major infrastructure development that is happening in this country. Technology, what the towers is. These are transformational, Mr. Speaker. But we need to do more, Mr. Speaker, with the productive rural area, Mr. Speaker, value chain, Mr. Speaker. So I'm saying that because it is a long-term process, Mr. Speaker. The strategic action to achieve the long-term goal must be comprehensive, right from the very beginning, Mr. Speaker. It must be comprehensive right from the very beginning, with a clear timeline, clear strategic actions, and its implementing strategy inclusive of all the important players in the economy, with greater focus on increasing productivity of basic commodities, shifting away from the government, Mr. Speaker, to the private sector to achieve it, Mr. Speaker. That's the way to go, Mr. Speaker. And we have suffered from this sort of thinking that the government is everything and without it nothing will move. That is nonsense, Mr. Speaker. We suffered for close to 47 years, going 50 years now, Mr. Speaker. That thinking that government knows everything and without it nothing will move. No. Even try for a second and move some of these things. Admit, Mr. Speaker, that the private sector can do it better. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, it will continue to be business as usual, Mr. Speaker. I say this with all seriousness, Mr. Speaker, and excitement, because on the face of it, the nation, for the first time through the government, came up with a radical solution to achieve tangible economic growth that focuses on increasing productivity of the economy at the rural area, at the rural level, of the value chain, where the strength of this country really lies, Mr. Speaker. That's where our strength really lies. Not here where people come and stuff full of yen and go home. And plenty of cassava, plenty of potato, eat him with something of garden, garden, Mr. Speaker. And no problem, Mr. Speaker. And the danger of such a statement, Mr. Speaker, coming out from the political government, Mr. Speaker, is that it could stop right there. It could stop right there. Mr. Speaker, a good political statement that does not translate to real actions, Mr. Speaker. That's my concern. So, that is my fear as I browse through the actual structure of the budget, trying to identify traces of real actions, of prospects of real actions, that are supported by sensible budget allocations or structural adjustment, more specifically. Not really allocations, but structural adjustments and implementation strategies that would accelerate economic transformation, Mr. Speaker. And to put it simply, Mr. Speaker, what the government is actually saying, whether it means it or not, in its core policy statement, Mr. Speaker, in the context of Solomon Islands, is through the implementation of this budget, Mr. Speaker, we should see prospects of a real shift in labor and resources from lower to higher productivity activities, or where we want productivity to be high, and that is at the rural area where the strength of the country really lies, Mr. Speaker. We should the prospect of a shift of budgetary resources from non-essential service ministries and functions to productive sector and essential service ministries. And see, we a little bit struggle there to find that out as well, to establish whether that is the case. We also, what the government is also saying is that we should see a serious shift of budgetary resources saved from transformation to health, to education, to security, to climate change, and other essential services in line ministries, Mr. Speaker. We should also
see the prospect of what the government is saying here, Mr. Speaker. We should see the prospect of doing away with ministries or amalgamation of functions of ministries that either outlive their usefulness based on the reasons why they were established in the first place, Mr. Speaker, or because they are seriously overlapping or duplicating the functions of other ministries, Mr. Speaker. Those are transformational and structural adjustment issues, Mr. Speaker. Tough actions will be taken because we are just choking ourselves and coming every time of Parliament, and then some people wanted more allocation of budget. Well, those big monsters now can budget, Mr. Speaker. So we really need to take those very serious actions, Mr. Speaker. And I'm responsible for establishing, I think, three of the ministries during my term as Prime Minister of this country, starting the year 2000. I established Kosab and I want to name them, Mr. Speaker. But they are good for that time. And we set up ministries because they must address specific issues. And we continue to hang on them, Kasim, today. Mr. Speaker. We should also see the prospect of a change in labor dynamics, Mr. Speaker. In the context of the theme of this budget, we should now set in motion a serious decentralization strategy, Mr. Speaker, of government-paid employees in the productive sector and deploy them to the rural area to provide hands-on advice to our rural farmers, fishermen, and other enterprises, Mr. Speaker. Solomon Islanders with degrees and masters in agriculture and fisheries, accounting and finance and business should now be deployed to the rural area under the decentralization policy to provide hands-on advice. Every day, go look at people, this is how to plant cocoa. You got a problem because of emulsion. And this time, what the advisors have lo provincial headquarters no matter what extend go what the farmers. Hopefully that advice by Kasimugat. Let's change that, Mr. Speaker. We should also see the prospect of more farmers moving from subsistence to high-value crops assisted by government-paid advisors based right in the rural area in the constituency development centers, Mr. Speaker. We should see the prospect of active diversification of the economy. We should see more value adding of our products, and then the tapioca, cassava mano there. Mr. Speaker, he's doing fine job. People working now, and what farmers central Golkana. I tell you, how they really participate with this one. Or not Golkana, not central. Yeah. No. And we also see the prospect of more Solomon Islanders in rural area engaging in our area of strength through the sustainable development of our stretches of arable agricultural land, fisheries, forestry resources, inshore fisheries, including seaweed farming, and developing our potentials in the tourism industry. We're not saying that the government is doing this, but we can do more, Mr. Speaker. We can do more. And labor mobility, Mr. Speaker, we should see the prospect of the implementation of a workable plan to place a check in the number of Solomon Islanders sent to work under the temporary labor mobility schemes that is on the rise in Australia and New Zealand, and utilize this surplus labor force in implementing the strategic actions to accelerate economic transformation in the rural area where our strength really lies, Mr. Speaker. So, firstly, this we need to connecting, finding what the strategic actions here. I'm actually encouraging the government, please, you're saying the right things. Mr. Speaker, put in motion some of these things. Some of these things you can do outside of the budget. You don't need for budget for doing. It is just move on to undertake some structural adjustment, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I have no problem relating to the theme of the budget because I was involved in the early development of this redirection, Mr. Speaker. And I issued a 33-page policy redirection discussion paper to the Permanent Secretary, which he canvassed with his fellow Permanent Secretaries who welcomed the redirection with excitement, Mr. Speaker. We also got a cabinet to endorse the strategic action, Mr. Speaker. In a nutshell, sir, this policy directive or what the government is trying to say here, looks at what the government, Solomon Islands government, can do as the steward of the country's fiscal policy. Mr. Speaker, we need to appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that fiscal policy is a powerful tool in the hands of the government to influence the behavior of important players in the economy, and that the Solomon Islands government is the single largest spender in the economy. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, a strategic redirection of the emphasis and focus of the fiscal policy, especially government spending, to our areas of strength, Mr. Speaker, will open up unrealized opportunities that have been suppressed over the years, Mr. Speaker. It is a known fact, sir, that that government expenditure, and we hear it from, and it is coming from the International Monetary Fund, Mr. Speaker. It is a known fact that government expenditure in Solomon Islands have yet to be properly allocated so as to achieve optimum level of expenditure where government spending yields the greatest positive impact on growth, on economic growth, without any further increase in spending leading to economic loss. Mr. Speaker, we are seeing that outcome year by year by year. And so the approach that the government, the direction that the government is taking right now, it is welcome, Mr. Speaker. Do him. It is for that reason that the comprehensive redirection of the emphasis of the country's fiscal policy is absolutely necessary now, this time now, Mr. Speaker. On the expenditure front, it must involve the following strategic actions, and I hope the strategy we follow. Mr. Speaker, we were suggesting, Mr. Speaker, that in conducting a joint review of the programs, projects, and services delivered by line ministries. Every permanent secretary sit down together and look in, deliver this one here. How does it match our going line with government priorities? Also, yeah, immediately looks at us, no more. But we don't ask him for this one. Now, no more. Every something is double book. Without thinking about it, whether you really need that. You can do away with it, Mr. Speaker. That's one. And of course, we designed a private sector-led approach model to developing the productive and resource sectors, Mr. Speaker. And the implementation of this policy direction, Mr. Speaker, therefore involve the following strategic actions. Let me run through them very quickly. One of them is to recapitalize Development Bank of Solomon Islands. You may establish a Development Bank of Solomon Islands and sit down there as big giant with no teeth. Let me sit down. And I know that $18 million may go inside there, Mr. Speaker. Powerful institution, Mr. Speaker. This is the link to linking the people in the rural area. There are no shortages of people lacking money, Mr. Speaker, and the bank is in the business of lending money. The problem now is the confidence gap between those two, Mr. Speaker. And if we come up with something, Mr. Speaker, we can link these people as one group of people that can have access to the Development Bank of Solomon Islands. The other group, of course, is the big players, which is a safer approach, Mr. Speaker. Make it two, you may review and improve the rollout of the various guarantee schemes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Labor and Immigration, Central Bank of Solomon Islands. You need to look whether is it effective, Mr. Speaker. And also, another action is to identify more of the private sector players who are ready, who are already developing the products, and encourage them to participate in the strategy, Mr. Speaker. Encourage them, they are already big players already there. Cassava within, remember but not, Galka now. He moves in a very big way. Mr. Speaker. Cocoa, there are people already involved in. Coconut, there are people, private sectors who are already dreaming big ways. And the idea, Mr. Speaker, is for the people here now, or to go to a bank and get them land, and they connect with the people in the rural area, Mr. Speaker. The government does not need to allocate anything to the productive sector. And the point here is that when we do that, you can actually take that allocation, that land that them come up from the transformational arrangement, give them go to health, give them go to education, give them go to security, Mr. Speaker. And the discussion on tourism was spending a little bit 5 minutes on that one, Mr. Speaker, and I commend the minister. Very hard-working minister, Minister coming. She really wants to do something. Mr. Speaker, and the budget of co-allocation, as we acknowledge, still remain the same and a little bit increased. But tourism, Mr. Speaker, and I want to give you some thinking here, sir, is a low-hanging fruit which remains undeveloped, despite so much talk about the potential to grow the economy. You set yourself, Mr. Speaker, an ambitious goal for reaching tourist number arrival to 100,000 per annum by 2035, Mr. Speaker. That is a very ambitious goal here, Mr. Speaker. 100,000 by 2035. Now, sir, this projection, I believe, is based on our current ability to attract tourists, which stands at 30,000 per annum, Mr. Speaker. 30,000. And to reach the target of 100,000, we must increase tourist level by 7,000 per annum over the next 10 years, Mr. Speaker. 10,000. We cannot expect to reach this level of tourist arrival by 2035, depending entirely on the current laissez-faire approach of developing this sector, Mr. Speaker. We must think outside of the box. Sir, the bottom line, sir, in the growth of this industry, Mr. Speaker, is correctly picked up in the sector strategy, is to increase visitors' arrival. I'm not strategy, Mr. Speaker. The goal, increase. It follows, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that in order to increase visitors' arrival, we must invest in a strategy to make tourists wanting to come to Solomon Islands, because we have something unique to offer, Mr. Speaker. In other words, we must have the basics right, which include, number one, adequate number of beds provided in resorts that are developed to international standards with unique Solomon Islands taste in all the potential tourism sites Low Country believe. In other words, Mr. Speaker, invest aggressively in quality tourism infrastructure in strategic locations around the country, Mr. Speaker. Make it two. Developing over the natural beauties, culture and historical strength, strategically. Packaging to international standard as tourist products that are unique to Solomon Islands. And this one, Mr. Speaker, requiring professional inputs, blending with local knowledge and expert, Mr. Speaker. Make it three. Dovetailing our effort to developing other sectors discussing things like agriculture and the redirections, to be conscious of the need below tourism sector, and specific mention is made here about agriculture, fisheries, infrastructure development. And also, Mr. Speaker, the country will have to be innovative and strategic in this regard, Mr. Speaker. The current laissez-faire strategy, which leaves the development of tourism infrastructure in the potential rural tourist destinations entirely to the affordability of artisanal, a provider of tourism product with minimal assistance for the government, does not work and will never work, Mr. Speaker. It will never work. But I'm still looking this for. It will remain potential forever, Mr. Speaker. Government intervention is now needed, Mr. Speaker, and after this redirection, under this redirection, Mr. Speaker. Sir, and I commend the National Provident Fund, sir. The National Provident Fund has already taken initiative in this area, Mr. Speaker, with the decision to partner with the O'Neill group of company, and they provide a workable solution to opening up the country's potential in tourism and over the one goal of Mr. Speaker. From here, once over the established finished, or the goal of it, Mr. Speaker. And as a matter of fact, sir, they are the only group that have already planned to extend the investment to the rural area, Mr. Speaker. And I believe, sir, if the government takes a deliberate policy decision to partner with private sector in this sector, Mr. Speaker, the current hotel developers who have so far been concentrating in Oniara no more, Mr. Speaker, will work with our traditional landowners to extend their businesses to the rural area, Mr. Speaker. To kickstart this redirection, Mr. Speaker, we can immediately work with the National Provident Fund, ICSI, and the O'Neill group of company and to demonstrate our seriousness to work with the O'Neill Group of Company, Mr. Speaker, in partnership with Solomon Islands National Provident Fund, we must fully utilize the provisions of the Melanesian Spearhead Group Free Trade Agreement, Mr. Speaker. Use it. That's why it is there, Mr. Speaker. And Papua New Guinea, Mr. Speaker, we have more than 50 investment Papua New Guinea here in Solomon Islands. We thank them, Mr. Speaker, and this is the biggest origin of foreign investment and come from our brothers bringing Papua New Guinea, Mr. Speaker. Of course, this should not prevent the existing artisanal provider of tourism service to access finance from DBSI with using that facility. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, our multilateral partners also have a role to play in this redirection, Mr. Speaker, and the call by the Minister. Mr. Speaker, he makes that call. A low budget speech blame, and we must impress on them, Mr. Speaker, that the days of just discussing the theory of growth and advising us on what to do is over. We need their active participation, Mr. Speaker. And in this connection, Mr. Speaker, when I was Minister of Finance, I wrote to the Pacific Regional Director of the World Bank Group, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Stephen and I think Ninemlem Degwa or something also. He's from Africa. Mr. Speaker, and to request for catalytic investment and technical assistance to support large-scale sustainable tourism development in Solomon Islands through the RFC, Mr. Speaker. I've written to him, Mr. Speaker, and follow up. And similar requests, I believe, should also now be directed to ADB and our other multilateral partners to assist us drive not only the tourism sector, but also our other areas of strength, Mr. Speaker. They must come on board, and the call by the Minister is correct, Mr. Speaker. So, the other one, as Mr. Alam already reviewed the role of the extension services of the government under the various line ministries. We need to do that, because right now what the extension officers have got staff of provincial headquarters. And then with the hope that somehow, by their advice and travel to the air, then go and Kasim rural farm. Now, what we need is hands-on advice. And we have moved in the right direction already, Mr. Speaker, by setting up constituency development centers, Mr. Speaker, and link very well with what the government is trying to do here. One for, of course, is establish reliable shipping and transport services to connect the supply chains from the rural area to the point of market. The Minister also touched on that. You can either allow the market forces to take its course with this one, but suppose you've been doing that one, Mr. Speaker, but probably will wait forever, Mr. Speaker. So we might need to look at that one. And if our developing partners or they really want to help me, and probably this is one for an area that they must invest in him, Mr. Speaker. And I remember the year 2000 when I was Prime Minister, and I think sharing with the Prime Minister when he was Minister of Foreign Affairs. This Norwegian pastor him come to me and say, Prime Minister, you know what? You don't need him ship here. Hello, this country. And I say, yeah, we don't need him too much. And I say, you know what? We destroyed ship every 10 years. They have the policy where you cannot. Ship must not go more than 10 years. And some of the ships that arrive here are 50 years. I was saying, the Dimi Babayim. And they also got destroyed 10 years to so you've got diplomatic relations with us, and if I come and look at the government, and instead of destroying, by giving what ship has aid to Ival. So, nice one. And it remains there. It remains there, Mr. Speaker, and maybe we need to revisit this thing again to ask him whether that offer is still there, or am true, or also, Mr. Speaker. So there's some shipping, Mr. Speaker. Also, the policy also redirection was involved in establishing the role of existing government institutions like ICSI and the Commodities Export and Marketing Authority in this redirection. SEMA has already been actively engaged and got a $21 million allocation of budget, Mr. Speaker, and I think they need more, but we need to look at that one so that you may fully realize him now. These were redirections that in the time come a long time finished. Ikshina, Mr. Speaker, is Shida was a giant with him big for Titi, or with no more Titi, Shida no more. Right now it used to be the government shareholding agency, Mr. Speaker, and so Shida there no volume shares for government now. And it lived off the dividends that them come. I think we need to really look more at one in Ixi. Can do. This is the arm, the government that a government can actually use him that one as a commercial arm yet for actively partner with him within private sector, Mr. Speaker. So use it. And of course, if you look at the roles of other profitable SOEs as well, or this redirection, ports, for example, and SIA, I think probably the only two SOEs that make money, Mr. Speaker. And then when I was still Prime Minister, we started income check yet for 1 year for dividend. We for making dividend. And they look at me and me not happy no more. There's no excitement in my face. And later on, we tell them, I don't need that money. You know what? Your SIA going full more electric line, power lines. That's what you are. You are extension of government yet for addressing power supplies in this country. So you don't give me dividend, Mr. Speaker. You go and pull in more lines. Give him more. Look at people who are needing power. Also in ports, go and build him more wharfs. Maybe some amendments, some adjustments, some. You need to look low. The SOE Act, so that we realign him with people, Mr. Speaker, and also in Italian finishing we get our development partners. Now, okay. We also, I think that the direction as well, that instruction, that policy discussions that go down with the officers, the government should really pay more attention to core essential services and infrastructure development. That should be the primary role of government. And deliver them health, and deliver them education, and deliver them, because you can actually see government nurses, you see government teachers, you government police officers. These are government paid officers. So that's where our priority should be, Mr. Speaker. And if you're doing this one properly, sir, we should have spare resources for himself and give goal over the group here, Mr. Speaker. And of course, if there is this redirection of this reform and will lead to some people that needs to be made redundant, so be it, Mr. Speaker. But that's maybe saying more than going now, rural area for planting cocoa and planting, doing all these things. Mr. Speaker, I'm really, also it saddens me to see, Mr. Speaker, that there is, very few people that is growing, disowning of this country. People know it, and they're living overseas, or they go under either labor mobility, or they go under this Pacific engagement visa, whereby eventually you become citizen of another country, Mr. Speaker. And then you stop coming over there and you criticizing leaders like you, sweating our guts out to try to pull this country out of the mess, and you ride around fancy vehicles there, tar seal roads there, enjoy life there, and criticizing and Solomon Islanders were trying to pull this country out of the mess, Mr. Speaker. And I see these people as cowards, Mr. Speaker. They do not love country block. If you may love him country block, Mr. Speaker, you go planting cocoa. Go doing all these things. Me retire now, so why me go planting cocoa too? Sabe plant too. I need maybe extension officers for helping me how to plant these things, Mr. Speaker. And also, and by the way, I'm going down to the end of the year to have some people serious do some inaugurations of tribal removal, and we organize our tribe. And I said, this is land stop nothing there. Let's do all these things, Mr. Speaker. Instead of go and pick up all Australia, send him to go. Plant cocoa. But they will not love to go down there because they don't love this country. They want to go and enjoy life with it, Mr. Speaker. So, we should also look, and I think I'll skip some of the things that you want to tell me later, because the government must continue to work on the strategic reforms, and the mini from Minister Tax Reform must continue, land reform must continue, Mr. Speaker, reform the energy sector, I'm happy with that one, reform of the country's investment attraction strategy, very good, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Commerce, the special economic zone, something yet. Yeah. Make him work out. Time we discussing the cabinet, Mr. Speaker, but there's also excitement to know this one something, Mr. Speaker. Go, pull him, come, every investor for come now, Mr. Speaker, come to this country. So we need to look at that, institutional reforms. for fully develop. By the way, and I think the one for the strategy, of course, is to fully develop the rural development strategy and visits under the RCDF program under the Ministry of Rural Development. And the plan of that one, Mr. Speaker, is by this time, which the constituency development centers should be developed. We are motivated by this, so we're building 6 staff houses there, 3 bedrooms, and a big office block there with 10-room office there, and the envisaging the decentralization of staffing from the productive sector, or to go down straight rural area, no, to start the constituency development center. They are not going to start, Mr. Speaker. So that's one for strategy that you need to look at him, Mr. Speaker. And of course, maximizing revenue in Miharim finished, Mr. Speaker. And we encourage ministers to continue to look at this proper administration of tax exemption. The sufferance wharves issue here, Mr. Speaker, we really need to look at him, Mr. Speaker. And I think there's some comment to him the Public Accounts Committee report, Mr. Speaker. And the Minister has announced and taken the decision to shut down for some other sufferance wharves and every Gutia come over the declared ports here. And you got 3 follow this country, the Leroy Wharf and the Sipa Wharf and the Nora Wharf, Emerson. And it is my cabinet that actually make the decision, Mr. Speaker, to ministers that can come, and we make that declaration based on reports that are submitted to us by very competent people, Mr. Speaker, that in Ted Diro involved too, the former Army commander of the PNG Defence Force, Mr. Speaker, and others, over to work on that. And the first one that you need to pass for declaring many ports international wharf is the ISPS report, and that report, Mr. Speaker, I'm fully compliant. And so the cabinet in Nogara many, I think that one, but we declared one. One I'm missing, Mr. Speaker, there is we need to work on the regulations, Mr. Speaker, for regulating a private wharf, private international wharf, because under the laws here, Mr. Speaker, the way it is envisaged, it is the government that runs those infrastructure like that. But we've moved, nothing really stopping me, of course. We have done that. So one probably it needs not to be done is Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Infrastructure Development need to come up with the regulations for him to regulate him now. The private sector involvement in wharf services. Review of tax clauses of the mining agreement, that one must happen, Mr. Speaker. The mining clauses here, the minister, the honorable minister is tired when it comes to this matter, Mr. Speaker. And we comply with him agreement, mining agreement, no more. And if mining agreement tell him this one, I'm doing it, Mr. Speaker. So it boils down to that. Now, I understand the minister, sorry, the Commissioner of Inland Revenue has expressed his views on it already, and please listen to views, please. He is the professional there, Mr. Speaker. The possible revenue measures, Mr. Speaker, as we say, two-sided budget, yeah? Revenue and expenditure. Either we look at reducing expenditures or we look at additional revenue. The Lekona tax I'm talked about, Mr. Speaker, that's big, Mr. Speaker. I think this is a $35 million sector, which you might want to look at him, Mr. Speaker. You may also need to review the country's resource-based taxation regime. That's need to happen, Mr. Speaker. The country regime can be best described as a series of standalone, isolated, and incohesive rates applied at the whims of budget expediency, and I mean lack economic rationality, Mr. Speaker. So need to look at that one, Mr. Speaker. And then the new federal constitution is envisaging resource taxing. That's what I'm envisaging. So we may need to look at that, consult the other laws as well. Now, the petroleum tax, Mr. Speaker, we should learn from the sad experience of forestry and mineral, which up to now, you may yet to get it right, Mr. Speaker. The other, Mr. Speaker, of course, is the non-tax revenue, and I note that I think a high-level inter-ministry task force was established to review the administrative fees and charges imposed by various ministries. Now, whether the task force is submitting report blame finish and whether report blame am influencing the revenue that is featured on non-tax revenue. Well, this budget is something that the minister may want to explain to Yumi, Mr. Speaker. Creative financing. You may need to presume that then I think those two follow initiatives, I don't know where they are, probably they are shelved, I don't know, Mr. Speaker. And this is shipping registry. Used to be the leader of the independent group, Minister Blemna, was driving Kamlo there. So I don't know where that one is, Mr. Speaker. It promising millions of dollars, non-tax. Sorry, creative financing, Mr. Speaker. And the other one is the citizenship by investment initiative. I don't know where it is now. It is, used to be under the Prime Minister's office. And then I think the Minister of Home Affairs, I think, is taking over here, and I don't know where it is now. Mr. Speaker, maybe at some point in time, we will need to you meet Yumi now, Mr. Speaker. Now, as I said, I will move very fast in here. Yumi, as I said, me very happy with these three directions that the government in Thailand come here, Mr. Speaker, but Yumi, get it happen. I'm very, the insulting truth, Mr. Speaker, is that the country is totally capable of supporting a vibrant and sustainable development of the productive and resource sector. 47 years is more than 30 years it took Singapore to transform itself from pockets of fishing villages with no natural resources whatsoever to thriving, industrialized, powerful economic giant of Asia, Mr. Speaker. From nothing. Fishing village though. How did they do it? How did they do it, Mr. Speaker? They went all out to fully develop the only resource they have, Mr. Speaker, and that is the human resources, to a level where they can capitalize on it as their area of strength. They did so with amazing results, Mr. Speaker. The country, Singapore, is capable of attracting and supporting the growth of high-quality investments with their qualified human resources, which enable them to adopt an export-oriented industrialization strategy focusing on manufacturing sectors like electronics, shipbuilding, and petrochemicals, Mr. Speaker. Application to Solomon Islands. This is where the theme of this budget becomes a serious matter for discussion, Mr. Speaker, as far as Solomon Islands is concerned, because it promises a way out of years of government-centric fiscal policy, Mr. Speaker, to develop our areas of strength, which only exacerbated, Mr. Speaker, the country's inability to realistically address sustainable development that are realized through increased productivity, Mr. Speaker. The overarching strategy is to move out from government-centric fiscal policy to a citizen-centric fiscal approach, where, among other things, Mr. Speaker, we appreciate that there are better and more efficient players in the private sector to implement the national strategy to increase productivity at the rural level of the value chain. And, Mr. Speaker, we can go and talk about our areas of strength. And maybe I'll list him that one no more, and by me finish about 3 o'clock, Mr. Speaker. So while we may not have the level of high quality of human resources to target high-tech investments in electronic, shipbuilding, petrochemicals, and creative financial schemes that require high-level governance, Mr. Speaker, to operate. Compared with Singapore, we have natural resources in abundance that are equally capable of sustaining a development strategy at the primary and secondary levels that is capable of setting the country on a stable path in the medium to long term if strategically develop our following, if we strategically develop the following areas, and I'll list them very quickly and by me finished. One follow, our vast stretches of arable agricultural lands that are capable of supporting a steady supply of cash crops, either for downstream processing or export as raw materials in all provinces, but to date, the big portions of land are basically lying idle, Mr. Speaker. Make it two, the availability of stretches of customary lands that, apart from the need to comply with environmental standards, Mr. Speaker, landowners can develop without the need to get legal and land titles and comply with the stressful requirement of the Lands and Titles Act. Immigrant stretches of beautiful beaches and numerous historical sites and natural beauties unparalleled by other Pacific Island countries, Mr. Speaker, that can support a thriving tourism industry, Mr. Speaker. Immigrant stretches of lagoons and shallow waters in the various locations around the country that have been surveyed to be suitable for seaweed farming because they have sufficient sunlight, appropriate temperature and salinity, access to nutrients, well protected from tidal waves and strong winds that come from the open sea or monsoonal weather conditions, basically remaining idle, Mr. Speaker. More than 85% of the country's population with basic primary education that are already engaged in some form of activities in the customary land in all the 9 provinces of the country that have unfortunately been systematically tuned, Mr. Speaker, to be complacent and to depend on the services funded by the less than 20% of the population, Mr. Speaker, including our investors in the formal sector, and need to be retuned, Mr. Speaker. And of course, following from 5, the availability of free land in the informal sector where the strength of the country lies, that can be motivated under the profit motive development to collaborate with our development or the local investors to participate in the development of the areas of strength. And we get to for the last one, the re-establishment of the Development Bank of Solomon Islands, Mr. Speaker, purposely as a strategy to avail credit finance to willing and capable Solomon Islanders at affordable rates, less stringent processes to bridge the confidence gap that exists between the resource-rich, informal, rural area where the strength of the country lies and the willing investors in the formal sector who possess the technical know-how and entrepreneurial skills, Mr. Speaker. And, of course, the last one, the country has entered into numerous number of trading agreements, Mr. Speaker. PACER Plus, Melanesian Spirit Group trade agreements, non-reciprocal trade agreement with the People's Republic of China, which effectively allows a long list of products to enter our Chinese market now, Mr. Speaker, duty-free, Mr. Speaker. And of course, the trading agreement with the European Union countries. We have that, Mr. Speaker. Even if something for selling, Mr. Speaker. That's our problem, Mr. Speaker. We have all of them, Mr. Speaker, and indeed, all it takes to progress our country and achieve sustainable growth, and yet we remain pathetically a country highly dependent on foreign aid to survive economically. What a shame, Mr. Speaker. This is where the theme of this budget should be a gospel to the country, Mr. Speaker. If it goes beyond mere good political statement to actions that are driven by transformational reforms and painful adjustments, Mr. Speaker, there is no other way. We have reached a point where unless we take tough, decisive actions now, we will remain a poor country amidst plenty, Mr. Speaker. It is not clear, Mr. Speaker, which part of the budget is to be utilized to achieve this objective, as I wind down, Mr. Speaker. Without that clarification, and since any theme is to be taken as embracing, Mr. Speaker, the House understands this to involve both the recurrent and development budget as presented as presentation of government's fiscal policy in the form of activities. The Minister, in his response, may want to explain this because this is a very exciting exciting theme, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I have anything more for Adam Lawyer, but as aware of winding down to close this speech, Mr. Speaker, from what is presented, the government will continue to keep and keeping the same level of workforce, Mr. Speaker. There's no redundancy. There's no shift, Mr. Speaker. There is clearly no intention to seriously analyze the justification for the allocation of budgetary resources to non-essential line ministries. Everyone want to grab them. Me want them too. Me want them too. So there is no indication here, Mr. Speaker, that we are actually shifting resources. No more. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, although there is increased allocation to health, education and security, it is nowhere near addressing the real cost of delivering these services, Mr. Speaker. And other essential ministries like environment, conservation and climate change is grossly underfunded for the important responsibility it is assigned to do. There is clearly no indication or the intention to establish a process which will involve serious transformation and painful structural adjustment in the medium term to shift budgetary resources from non-essential service ministries and functions to productive sector and essential service ministries. If there is such an intention, Mr. Speaker, it is clearly not guided by a plan of action deliberately designed, Mr. Speaker, to accelerate economic transformation. It is clear, Mr. Speaker, that the government is not putting enough thinking into formulating this budget to achieve the desired outcome of accelerating economic transformation, to drive economic growth and sustainable development by resourcing the resourced. Mr. Speaker, and I want to bring it to the attention of the government, Mr. Speaker, you're saying the right thing, Mr. Speaker, do it. And who the resourced are and how they will be resourced is not clear as well in the budget, Mr. Speaker. That matter aside, Mr. Speaker, the credibility of the budget, of course, is also a matter of serious concern. It is no secret that the government is clearly struggling to fund the 2025 budget, Mr. Speaker. The government is assuming a big turnaround in the performance of the key players in the economy in 2026. This is as you may heard from the member for North Georgia, a very big assumption. Mining is clearly taking the leading role as far as the government is concerned, and unless the current standard mining agreements are reviewed, Mr. Speaker, we will need to tread this path carefully, sir. The Commission of the Inland Revenue, as Mr. Parliament already expressed his view on various concessions granted under the existing agreements, which are clearly one-sided. The government must take heed, Mr. Speaker. Unless the government is serious about the major reforms that are still work in progress, Mr. Speaker, including a major policy statement accompanying this budget, it will be business as usual, Mr. Speaker. And we don't want that, Mr. Speaker. You're saying the right thing, Mr. Speaker, and some of the things that you tell them, you don't really need this in budget for. You can take them outside of this budget, Mr. Speaker. With that, Mr. Speaker, I will await the Minister's response to the question posed on the fundamentals of this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor of Parliament, and I beg to resume my seat, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member for East Churchill. Let me give the floor to the Honourable Member for National Planning and Development Coordination first. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Also, thank you, my two other MP colleagues were making presentation but before me stand more. I also wish to thank the PAC, especially the hardworking chairman, for the budget scrutiny that they are doing over the past weeks and days. Mr. Speaker, I'm not standing here to make a response on the first two speeches. But let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker, in some of the things that Bamitalem him by giving answers to some of the doubts, some of the things that are raised by my two powerful MPs from North New Jersey and East Churchill. Mr. Speaker, the debate this morning is not only about the numbers for next year. It is about our people. And that is exactly this budget stands for. It is about our people, our families in the villages, our settlements, our islands. as alluded clearly by Member for East-Westall, some of us are very strong believers in rural development because that's where the masses live. And that is where water resources problem is stopped. And this is exactly this budget for 2026, Hem Try for Driving, where Hemi announced by the Minister of Finance. Shifting, reorienting the budget where it usually got in. And the focus on rural development, Hem very focused, and I will touch on that as we go on. For many years, Mr. Speaker, this country have seen improvements in this city, Honiara City and Okata urban centers. They have better roads, they have new shops, they have new buildings, improved services in the capital. Well, Mr. Speaker, that must continue. Honiara is our political and commercial center, and it needs to function well. But, Mr. Speaker, at the same time, we must remember that around 74% of our people live in the rural areas. Too many of those communities in the rural areas still feel they left behind. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget, and I will mainly touch on the development budget, is designed to start changing that. It significantly increases the share of development spending. It's not just the amount. It's not just the rhetoric. But it does so with a deliberate focus on reaching deeper in the rural areas, Mr. Speaker. These are the places where our people feel development has been promised for decades. Not just last year, not just this year, but for decades, but only seen in small pieces. At its heart, Mr. Speaker, this next year's development budget plan is about delivering a better social and economic future to the 74% of our population, the rural communities and rural villages, in a way that is firmly aligned with the GNAT pillars for transformation. The theme, Mr. Speaker, that was selected, accelerating economic transformation, resourcing the resource to drive economic growth and sustainable development, is basically using limited public funds or money that we have to support those who are already working hard, especially in the rural areas, and are ready to grow. For so many years, Mr. Speaker, we have neglected our 74% rural people. Even the donors to, Mr. Speaker, development partners, most of the developments are centered around the centers, Honiara and urban centers. These have not squarely blamed on this government, but the development partners are also to carry that same blame, Mr. Speaker. They must re-strategize. They must be very strategic in what they're doing for this country. Because most of their funding have sink inside law of the capital cities and urban centers, believe me. It doesn't drive into the heart where the problem is. As a Minister of Planning, Mr. Speaker, let me explain next year's development budget, which is over 1.42 billion. We have aligned with the medium-term development plan, the GNAT pillars, the National Development Strategy 2016 and 2035, and our Sustainable Development Goals. And why this budget represents a genuine shift in our development priorities, especially for rural areas. This budget, Mr. Speaker, is anchored well in the MTDP and our National Development Strategy with a rural focus. Mr. Speaker said the medium-term development plan for 2026 to 2030 translates the 5 NDA's objectives and 15 medium-term strategies into concrete programs and projects. It sets out clearly the development spending has to back up the big promises in the NDAs, especially inclusive growth, better health and education, stronger infrastructure, and more equitable development across provinces and our islands. In the past years, Mr. Speaker, the recurrent costs have taken up a very large share of our total budget. The medium-term development plan is very frank on this, and this pattern is not sustainable if we are to continue with business as usual, particularly as we move towards least developed country graduation and the concessional support declines. Government must therefore, Mr. Speaker, channel more resources into development that builds capacity and opportunity, and this is exactly the budget for 2026 is all about, Mr. Speaker. I am not arguing for cuts to recurrent expenditure, Mr. Speaker. In fact, it is likely that the recurrent spending will need to rise over time as social needs grow, particularly in health and education. That is precisely why a more transformative, Mr. Speaker, and stronger development budget focused on economic and financial return investment is so important. We must grow our revenue base that is needed to fund these growing recurrent expenditures and expanding social needs in a sustainable way. The 2026 development budget, Mr. Speaker, responds to by lifting Solomon Islands government-funded development spending from about 956.7 million this year in 2025 to around 1.42 billion next year, 2026, an increase of roughly 465 million, close to a 50% rise in development investment or development budget in a single year. And this is historical, Mr. Speaker. A very large part of this increase, Mr. Speaker, is deliberated, is targeted to rural programs and rural infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, say it is helpful to understand this development budget in two broad categories. First, there are social development investments in health, education, provincial services, justice, national security, and basic rural infrastructures. These do not always produce a direct financial return to government, but they are essential for human well-being, dignity, and opportunity. They are the investments that help a child in a remote village to learn to read, allow a mother in our villages to get antenatal care close to our home, or give a community reliable access to clean water and basic transport. Second, Mr. Speaker, there are economic and financial return investments. And if you look inside the budget there, the examples are the Bina Harbour projects, increase in budget support to the Development Bank of Solomon Islands, commercial agriculture, more support to SEMA for him increasing export growth, and also there is increased support to tourism infrastructure and other key transport and energy projects. These have measurable impacts on our exports for improving our GDP, where we always talk about it, increasing domestic revenue, jobs, and private investment. They are the projects that are meant to grow the size of the economic cake, Mr. Speaker, so that more can be shared. And they are vital because the level of social development our people deserve will ultimately require funding in the billions of dollars each year, not just in the hundreds of millions we aim to talk about him every time. That is why, Mr. Speaker, starting in 2026, a stronger share of the development budget is being directed to these economic investments to grow the revenue base needed to keep investing in health, keep investing in education and social well-being. It is therefore, Mr. Speaker, expected that funding allocated to economic development is structured as genuine financial return investments that help sustain and expand our future development programs. A responsible development budget for Solomon Islands needs both, Mr. Speaker. If we only chase projects that show a cash return, we will neglect the social foundations that keep families healthy, safe, and hopeful. If we only fund social programs without building an economic engine, we will not be able to sustain these services in the long run. The strength of this 2026 development budget, or the budget, is that it invests in both the social base and the economic drivers, Mr. Speaker, with a clear intention that rural communities must feel the difference. Mr. Speaker, let me put some numbers to justify what I'm story come here. Because it is important that our people see this not just a political rhetoric. From the Solomon Islands government funded development envelope of 1.42 billion for next year, Mr. Speaker, a very large share of this is directed to ministries whose mandates are primarily rural focused. Ministry of Rural Development, for next year's development budget, Mr. Speaker, 253 million. That's massive for rural development. Ministry of Infrastructure and Development, Mr. Speaker, 146,879,496 million. That's one of the big increase in next year's budget. Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Mr. Speaker, 128.9 million. And the bulk of that, Mr. Speaker, is for rural development, particularly Bina Harbour development. Ministry of Communication and Aviation, Mr. Speaker, 64.89 million. Ministry of Commerce, Industry, Labour and Immigration, 67.33 million. Ministry of Provincial Government and Institutional Strengthening. This is one of the ministries that you, by looking at him, got a big increase here. Him jump to 50 million for next year's budget, Mr. Speaker. Ministry of Culture and Tourism, as alluded by Member of his Treasury, him jump to 46.4 million. Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, 40 million. Ministry of Mines, Energy and Rural Electrification, 30 million. Ministry of Lands, Housing and Survey, 16 million. Ministry of Forestry and Research, 10.6 million. Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, Meteorology and Disaster Management, 5 million. Ministry of Women, Youth, Children and Family Affairs, 4.7 million. These are the ministries that have a mandate on rural development. And that amount we are for implementing next year is massive. And that's a shift that we talk about in here, Mr. Speaker. So taken together with all these ministries, Mr. Speaker, account to around 864 million for 2026 development budget for rural development. Just over 60% of all Solomon Islands government-funded development spending. And this is before we count the rural reach of health and education, Mr. Speaker. In simple terms, this development budget for next year, Mr. Speaker, is clear. Deliberate commitment to deliver a better social and economic future for the 74% of our people living in rural communities, fully in line with the GNAT pillars for transformation. Mr. Speaker, say it is also important to reassure the people of this country and this House that this shift towards stronger development spending is backed by a responsible fiscal framework. My good colleague, the Minister of Finance, has confirmed that the current budget for 2026 is estimated at 4.4 billion, including about 1.9 for 7.7 million for payroll, about 2,081.4 million for other charges, 357.2 million for debt servicing, and 20 million for contingency warrants. When combined with budget support, the total recurrent budget rises to around 4.6 billion, Mr. Speaker. Within that envelope, Mr. Speaker, payroll is 243.3 million, higher than the 2025 revised estimate, largely because the government has made an effort to pay off one-off payment of 1 to 9 million payment to settle outstanding teacher salaries under the agreement signed with CINTA, and this is very important. And has also provided for additional salary costs for our medical staff, nurses, and essential technical roles across line ministries. At the same time, the allocation for other charges, Mr. Speaker, has been reduced by 53.1 million. This is signaling to all of us in this Honourable House that we are serious about transformation, reducing the unnecessary costs under the other charges. Taken together, Mr. Speaker, this shows that even as we expand development spending and push harder into rural areas, GNAT is tightening the quality of recurrent spending and restoring fiscal discipline. That is the right combination if you want development gains to be sustained. Alignment with GNAT pillars, Mr. Speaker, through a rural-focused lens. Mr. Speaker, said, the GNAT government has set 4 fundamental pillars: economic transformation, unity and stability, infrastructure development, and human capital development. The 2026 development budget supports each of these pillars with a strong rural dimension. On economic transformation, Mr. Speaker, our people in the villages are already hardworking, planting cocoa and coconut, drying copra, fishing, cutting timbers, running small canteens, and ecologists. Too often, they see the final value created from the hard work up here in Honiara or offshore, not in their own communities. The National Development Strategy and the Medium-Term Development Plan are very clear. The future lies in the rural areas, in agriculture, fisheries, tourism, and mining, and in shifting from raw exports to value-added production that shares more value with resource owners and rural households. The 2026 development budget backs this with, Mr. Speaker, a major lift to the fisheries sector from 29.8 million in 2025 to 128.9 million in 2026, focused on the Bina onshore tuna processing plant and wider fisheries development and livelihoods. The total SIG development estimate for the Bina Haba tuna processing plant in the 2026 development estimate stands at 103 million, of which 50 million is allocated in 50 million is allocated in 2026. The 2026 allocation is therefore one step in a multi-year funding path that must be maintained, Mr. Speaker, and in future budgets strengthened so that Bina can be completed and begin contributing to export revenue, rural jobs, and foreign exchange as soon as possible. Bina is not only an industrial project, it is a rural livelihood project for Malaita and for the wider country. Strengthen support for commerce and industry, rising from 49.19 million to 67.33 million to drive private sector growth. Support SEMA's role in stabilizing commodity exports and expand micro, small, and medium enterprises opportunities, especially for rural entrepreneurs. Third, targeting funding through the Development Bank of Solomon Islands, amounting to 18.9 million in 2026, about 1.3% of the Solomon Islands government-funded development envelope to support farmers, tourism operators, and rural businesses that are ready to grow but cannot yet access commercial finance in their own. Alongside this, rural development remains at 253 million, and provincial governments receive 50 million. These allocations taken together, Mr. Speaker, show that rural economic transformation is no longer an afterthought. It is at the core of how development budget is structured and is fully consistent with the GNAT pillars. Second, Mr. Speaker, infrastructure development. The Ministry of Infrastructure Development receives an increase from around 113.2 million in 2025 to about 146.88 million for next year, plus approximately 65.6 million in donor-supported infrastructure. Many of these projects, like feeder roads, rural bridges, wharves, are about connecting isolated enclaves to markets, schools, and clinics. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Communication and Aviation has a SIG-funded development allocation of 64.89 million for 2026, complemented by about 194.95 million in donor-supported projects. Together, this is a development envelope of roughly 259.8 million for airport upgrades and related infrastructures. While some of that is focused on our main gateways, Mr. Speaker, improved airstrips and services also matter for rural areas, especially in the provinces where sea transport is risky during severe weather. These investments, Mr. Speaker, honor the National Development Strategy's call for expanded and weather-resilient infrastructure and utilities that lower the cost of doing business and improve access to services across our islands, not just in the capital. Third, Mr. Speaker, on human capital. Rural development means very little if people remain sick and uneducated. The health development budget rises from around 44.08 million this year to 70 million, with a major emphasis on primary health care, Mr. Speaker. The idea is very simple, Mr. Speaker. Catch health problems early, close to home, instead of waiting until they become emergencies. With stronger clinics, better equipped area health centers, and more support for provincial health services, non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart diseases, as well as other chronic conditions, can be detected earlier and managed properly, so that immunocomplaint can't leg all the way. Without a strong primary health care, Mr. Speaker, problems are only identified when patients reach critical or acute stages. By then, they require expensive referrals to Honiara, long hospital stays, and too often they result in tragic outcomes that could have been prevented. Investing in primary health care, Mr. Speaker, in facilities, equipment, staff housing, and basic diagnostics will reduce unnecessary referrals to Honiara, ease pressure on the National Referral Hospital, lower long-term costs, and most importantly, keep rural families healthier in their own communities. In education, Mr. Speaker, the allocation lifts from 67.6 million to 83.7 million for next year. This includes 50 million for SINU infrastructure, which will save students from every provinces, and about 33.7 million for school infrastructures in our provinces. Classrooms, dormitories, dining halls, and staff housing. These are the basic facilities that allow rural children to stay in school and learn in safe, dignified environments. These moves, Mr. Speaker, directly advances NDA's objective number 3, universal access to quality health and education, and support the GNAT pillar on human capital with a clear intent that rural children and rural families are not left behind. On unity, stability, and governance, Mr. Speaker, unity and stability require that rural people feel that the state sees them and serves them. The 2026 allocations show a clear intent to strengthen governance beyond Honiara. Provincial governance and institutional strengthening receives 50 million to improve planning and service delivery at the provincial level. Justice and legal affairs jump from 3.68 million to 18.68 million, improving access to justice and legal services that are important for land, resource disputes, and social stability across the country. Police and national security maintains a development allocation of about 28.38 million, supporting law and order in both urban and rural areas. This moves, Mr. Speaker, supports NDA's Objective 5 on unified, stable, effective governance and SDG 16 on peace, justice, strong institutions. Mr. Speaker, let's be honest. This budget does not fix everything in 1 year. Whilst the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock sees its allocation fall from 50 to 40 million at a time when agriculture still employs the majority of our people, my esteemed colleague, Minister for Commerce, has empowered SEMA to mobilize about 300 million and more in revenue into the agriculture sector, so that agriculture is not left behind, but is in fact fast-tracked as a driver of economic growth and social betterment for our rural people. The environment sector receives 5 million in Solomon Islands government-funded development allocation. Despite our high vulnerability, Mr. Speaker, a lot of support are coming from donors, so that covers off some of the shortfalls under this sector. And past development execution rates under this ministry also, Mr. Speaker, has been a concern. If those weaknesses are not addressed, the most ambitious rural-focused allocation in this budget will not reach the people who need them most, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, me conclude now. Solomon Island, especially in rural areas, are tired of big promises and small results. And time here today, the first speaker, member for North New Georgia, I'm highlighting some very important things. Where if we focus on rural development, I'm automatically addressing some of the issues I'm raising. One, I'm raising where I'm caught my attention, Mr. Speaker, is on inflation, the core inflation and the headline inflation he mentioned. The 2% core inflation that he mentioned, Mr. Speaker, that's the ideal number where we should stop him. We cannot go below 2%, Mr. Speaker. Let's not confuse ourselves here, Mr. Speaker. If inflation go below 2%, bahem hamum economy blowing. We cannot allow deflation in the economy, Mr. Speaker. So the 2% that imigaram where MP for News no Talim, that is the ideal number where we should stick to, Mr. Speaker. So let's give a thumbs up to ourselves, because we maintain that number. If we go below 2%, Mr. Speaker, let's remind ourselves that we are heading towards deflation, which is damaging to our economy. So some of the numbers that you talk about today, Mr. Speaker, we should give a thumbs up to ourselves. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 development budget has the following features. It raises the Solomon Island development budget spending by almost half, as I've said earlier. It directs 60% of the spending towards rural development, with much of the remaining budget also benefiting rural communities through health, education, and infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, as alluded by some of the MPs, the number is not an issue, but implementation an issue. And this is exactly this government, GNAD, is trying to make sure that we implement next year's budget fully, but also more effectively, Mr. Speaker. If implementation is disciplined, I believe, Mr. Speaker, and if projects are chosen and managed on merit, and if Parliament, if all of us hold ministers accountable for delivery, this budget can be remembered as one of the best budgets we ever come up with, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, say on that basis, I commend this year's 2026 appropriation bill to this Honourable House and respectfully urge my colleague MPs to support the budget, not for the sake of GNAD government, but for the sake of every rural family, every young people, our mothers, and every community that deserves to see real visible change in their lifetime. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, because of another engagement in the passing of the spouse of the late of the former Governor General, I have been asked to represent the Governor General in the sending of service at St. Barnabas Cathedral, so I will not be able to preside over the meeting at this afternoon. But I will hand that over to the Deputy Speaker to continue with the debate on the speech. And with that note, thank you for your indulgence, and I will now suspend Parliament and we'll resume at 2 o'clock.